all activities at the various court to IHO. The National Labour Commission, which declared the industrial action illegal, has since invited the leadership of JUSAG to another round of talks following Thursday's failed attempt. On Friday, Chief Justice nominee Justice Gertrude Tokono, appearing before the Appointments Committee of Parliament, indicated that the grievances of JUSAG were being addressed.
The strike that was pronounced recently.
That's Justice Gertrude Tokono. She's a Chief Justice nominee. However, checks this morning reveal the strike is far from over as the courts remain empty with no activity at all. We take you to the Ashanti region to start off with, where my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar has been gauging the mood at the various courts in the region to find out exactly what is happening, and we'll get details for you shortly, as well as touch base with Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku, who's here in Accra and reports the situation is not different from Kumasi and the likes. We join on the phone pretty shortly by Ibrahim Abubakar. He's joined us on the telephone lines with some more details. Ibrahim, talk to us. What's the situation like at the court in Kumasi?
Well, Mauna, I can tell you that the strike is fighting.
Like I mentioned, he's our Labour Affairs correspondent. You join us on phone as well with some more details, not just on the development at the courts, but on negotiations as well between the Labour Commission and the striking staff of the Judicial Service Workers Union, and get some understanding as to exactly what the situation is. We know that the Labour Commission attempted meeting them last Thursday. That fell flat, didn't achieve the expected result. We heard from the Labour Commission boss, Ofusua Sama, who amongst many things said that the planned meeting did not come off and that the leadership of JUSAG left even before they could meet. Hence, a postponement of the meeting to this week. We'll be joined on the phone pretty shortly by Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku, who provide a lot more details for us as to exactly what the situation is. Well, you're listening to the news here on 3FM at 92.7 amongst
strike. And the situation has not changed. Basically, it has not changed. It's just that the strike is still on, and we have been able to speak to the leadership of JUSAG, who a short while ago we were telling me that they will be in a meeting with their management to get the issues resolved.
And what about the Labour Commission? Because we know that last week they were planning on meeting them, but the Executive Secretary for someone says they left the meeting.
The National Labour Commission on Friday assembled or called for a meeting today. So today the leadership of JUSAG was supposed to meet the National Labour Commission, i.e. all the commissioners of the National Labour Commission. But the members of JUSAG and the leadership are saying that they are not going to be with the National Labour Commission. They will rather meet their management to get their issues resolved. Because recall, when the Chief Justice appeared before the vetting committee, a similar question was posed to her about the strike, where she indicated that they were going to engage the leadership of JUSAG and also ensure that the presidency approves whatever has been put on the table of the president. For the leadership of JUSAG, they have confidence in their management to get their issues resolved before they'll be able to come back to the National Labour Commission and report the issues back to them.
Right then, many thanks. That's Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku providing a lot more details there for us as to what the situation is regarding the strike by the Judicial Services Staff Association of Ghana. Let's do politics now, where a group of supposed farmers and some delegates of the governing New Patriotic Party have picked forms for former Greek Minister Dr. Friya Koto to contest for the flag bearership position of the governing New Patriotic Party. The governing party last Friday opened nomination for presidential aspirant in the party to contest, with the prize of 50,000 cedis set for nomination forms. Already, 4 aspirants have picked forms, making the Dr. Akoto team the 5th to express interest in the party's flag bearership race. Speaking to journalists after picking the forms, spokesperson for the team, Dr. Prince Amuzu, said they're headed to the aspirant to present the nomination forms.
To say they want to encourage Dr. Akoto, the delegates, the farmers, the good people of Ghana, we say thank you. I speak for Dr. Akoto, so on his behalf I want to thank you But to hear his own words, we are going to move from here and go to the campaign office and pass these forms to him for his comments.
Is it to say that it is farmers and delegates who paid the 50,000?
Farmers across the country indicated interest to do this, and he did not deny them the opportunity. Delegates as well and friends came together to pool resources as a sign of love and support for him, to say they are for him and they want to encourage him to contest. Thank you.
So that's Dr. Prince Amuzu. He spoke and he mentioned that they were moving to Dr. Akoto to pick thoughts from him. Noble Crosbyan, and he's with that team. He's joined
general elections. When a question was asked to Dr. Akoto about him not being favored in almost all polls that have been conducted, particularly from Global Info Analytics, he said that these polls, they offer nothing. They are nothing to go by because they are usually sponsored, and the results or the outcome of the polls do not reflect exactly what the views or the opinions and the desires of the delegates. We're talking about the people who make the decision on the final day of voting, Eric.
Let's take a listen to exactly what he told you.
That I have never sponsored any poll. Find out who is sponsoring those polls. If I sponsor a poll, I bet you they will say that I'm first. But I won't, because it serves the city. It doesn't serve any purpose. We know what you are doing on the ground. So all the polls in the world can say whatever they want, but we are talking about the 900 people who be voted, the super delegates, and the 210,000 delegates who be voted on the 4th of November. That's what matters. So I don't know the basis, and you as a journalist, you should be questioning the basis of these polls. You just take them as gospel. You don't even know the statistical significance of them, the population, the sample size, all those things, to be able to intelligently question them. You just take them as, oh, this poll is saying this person is leading, this person is leading. Let them lead, but the delegates have the last word.
That's Dr. Efri Akoto. Let's just end quickly with my colleague Noble Crosbyan. And so there's optimism on his part that he's going to go into this presidential primaries and win it.
Yes, Mawuena, there's huge optimism from himself and his followers. His entire camp, they're very optimistic that going into the MPP primaries, he will win confidently, and he's not harboring any doubt whatsoever. He believes that the people who matter, the delegates, will vote for him on the day.
Right, the Noble Crosbyan, and it's my colleague providing some details as to the picking of forms by the team of Dr. Efri Akoto. We're staying with politics a while longer, and this time round on the camp of the NDC, because there's been a vigil held in the Asin North constituency ahead of the declaration even by the Speaker of Parliament of that seat being vacant. The NDC in the area, they've held a vigil where they've, amongst many things, thrown their support behind the now former Member of Parliament, Richard Jachi Kwesi. We'll go on the telephone line shortly and engage Mustafa Gbande. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, and pick thoughts ahead as to why the party is beginning to put together steps like these ahead of even a formal declaration that the seat has indeed become vacant. And we'll hear from Mustafa Gbande. Now, he's joined us on phone. Many thanks, Mr. Gbande, for speaking to us this afternoon. And so the seat is yet to be declared vacant. We know that the NDC issued a statement where you, amongst many things, stated that you're supporting James Jachi
from the records of Parliament. And to that extent, you see this to be a member of Parliament. One, we are using the court system to deny the people of Asin their rightful representation in Parliament. And this is being championed by government in underwork with the judiciary.
So what we saw in Asin North is a reflection of the people and not the NDC, this vigil?
The reflection of the people's sentiment against what has been done. As we speak to you, the individual has a right to review or employ other judicial remedies to a judgment emanating from the Supreme Court. However, he does not even have that judgment in his hand. That will be the starting point of his review in the first place. As we speak, he has 14 days within which, after judgment, he can take any further action. He does not have the judgment. Days are running. The Attorney General has already written to Parliament requesting the Speaker of Parliament to expunge the name of Honorable Echikwesen, a clear act of travesty of justice. They are tying his hand at his back, and an attack on the representation of the people of Asin North. It's an attack on the people. And so a vigil was organized by the people on the ground to demonstrate their displeasure and how sorrowful the act of government is. Government machinery is behind all these orchestrations, and to the largest extent, because of the way a manner Supreme Court is conducting themselves, it is as if they are in bed with the executive to manipulate this entire process to government's advantage to restructure Parliament. And that is why the people of Asin Central are not happy, for which they organize the vigil.
Right. Mr. Gwande, I'm sure we'll come back to you as you've already mentioned that the Attorney General has written to Parliament. There'll be a lot of conversations on Asin North in subsequent times. I appreciate that you could speak to us.
We are grateful to you.
That's Mustafa Gwande. He's a Deputy General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, speaking to us this afternoon on the vigil organized by a resident of Asin North. And like you heard him say, it's a reflection of exactly their concerns and sentiment. And we'll move away from the politics now, much now to governance. And government's announcement to continue charging the COVID-19 levy may come as a disappointment to both customers and the business community, especially those who've been pushing for its removal. President Akufo-Addo, a national address on Sunday, emphasized that the levy is still crucial a while longer. Dr. Joseph Obeng, he's the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, is joined us on the telephone line for quick reactions. Dr. Obeng, I appreciate that you could speak to us. So your general thoughts on the decision by government or the president announcing that you continue to bear with them as they continue the COVID levy and its collection. What's the reaction of the trading community?
It is not fair. It's supposed to be a one-purpose tax. But gradually, when policy makers, they bring this one-purpose tax, what we have seen and observed is that they make it permanent. If you recall, the special import levy was supposed to be a one-purpose tax that after the sunset clause punished with taxes and is impeding on the growth of businesses.
Right,
and that's what is happening here.
It's going to stay on. That's the clear indication from the government. For you as Guta, we know that from time to time you continue to engage government on these matters. Is this a conversation you're going to be raising quite strongly, and how soon? Or are you going to be asking for timelines now from the government as to when this can go on for?
Definitely, we are going to engage with government, especially with the three new taxes that have been imposed on us. We haven't even finished engaging with government, and so we are going to add this COVID levy in our future engagement with government. We know we have the media budget review to contend with, and we have to still talk with government. You know, people think that the business community have relaxed, where government keep imposing taxes on us. These particular taxes that we allowed it to come without any serious agitation or demonstration is because we were trapped. We were trapped because of the IMF view, and that was attached to these taxes, and that we have to be careful not to do anything that would delay government effort to get this IMF deal to come and salvage the economy of Ghana. That's essentially what happened. We were just trapped. It doesn't mean that they can keep on piling on these taxes on us to destroy businesses. Businesses need to survive, and it's very serious. And then we have to talk about these issues. Yeah.
Doc, I appreciate that you could speak to us this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
That's Dr. Joseph Obeng. He's the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, speaking to us this afternoon. And the news is streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM927, as well as on Twitter. Same handles 3FM927. Our top stories in the last 26 minutes: COVID-19 taxes and its related levies to stay on a while longer, despite calls for the scrapping. As you've been hearing from the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, these one-purpose staff taxes need to go, and says that they are going to continue to engage government on these matters to ensure that the taxes are removed. He also adds that the 3 new taxes didn't see a lot of agitation because it was tied to the country's IMF bailout package, hence less and less of agitations, but they will pick it up and ensure that some of these taxes are removed. Let's do some other stories now. For the first time in Ghana's history, neurosurgeons have successfully conducted an awake brain surgery to remove a tumor from a patient. Portia Gabo tells the story of how Sergeant Sylvester Boachi of the Ghana Police Service played the mouth organ, sang the national anthem, and identified objects in the 8-hour complex surgery, the first in West Africa.
For 2 years, 39-year-old Sergeant Sylvester Boachi had challenges with personality, recall and memory, and difficulty in communication. But a turning point came when he was referred to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital this year and met with Professor Samuel Kaba, consultant neurosurgeon.
We realized that operating on him, we would then have to work on him awake. Because if we attempt operating on him asleep completely, we might be removing the tumor, but he will come out with a deficit.
It's Thursday, May 25, the day of the surgery. Anesthetists prepare him for the surgery. Sergeant Sylvester Boachi is gradually woken up for a procedure called brain mapping. In this process, different parts of his brain are stimulated as the neurosurgeon applies small electrical currents to the tissue around the tumor. Sergeant Sylvester has a role to play as he answers questions, identifies objects shown to him by the clinical psychologist and the neurophysiologist.
Are we on the tumor?
Yes, cow.
Cow. We are on the tumor. Here?
Cow.
Is he recognizing?
Yes.
Can he recognize?